Hey everyone, welcome to our weekly Mussar gathering. This will be our second week exploring the soul trait of gratitude. So we will begin, as we always do, with a short meditation. So everyone, please relax and close your eyes and take in a deep breath through the nose and hold. And exhale through the mouth and hold. And inhale through the nose and hold. And exhale through the mouth and hold. If thoughts should come into your head, just observe them and let them go. Like watching a car move past on the road. Now is not the time for solving problems. Right now, all you need to do is inhale through the nose and hold, and exhale through the mouth and hold. And on your next inhale, say to yourself, Shema. And on the exhale, listen. Shema, listen. And Shema, we're listening deeply, without judgment, without offering advice. And Shema, we are listening with an open heart. Shema, listen. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes. Hello, welcome to Paul and Joanne and Stephanie. And it looks like we have Sarah coming in and Tony coming in. So it's always fun to see who's going to be here when I open my eyes after the meditation. So if you saw the email today, let's see, I have a couple different PowerPoints open. So I'm going to close all the ones that we're not using. I'm going to pull up the wrong one. Okay. Sorry about that. So let's try to share once again. Okay, here we go. Okay, so if you saw the email, I kind of previewed this question a little bit where I had talked about, and someone was asking me about this before everybody came on. I had a great trip to LA. I stayed with a friend and her family, and we saw so many people from all over the country. It was my first in-person ordination, which was really, really different than experiencing ordination on Zoom. So it was just a really, really great 5-day trip. And I came back and I had nothing to do this week, but I just found myself very sort of stressed and ruminating and thinking about various things for the future. So I think gratitude is one way of kind of regrounding in the present. But I noticed that I do like playing like various online games, and I'm thinking that sometimes it's been almost more numbing. It's just like, oh, I'm so stressed, I'm going to play this game now. And I wanted to hear from you, like, what is the difference between something that's an enjoyable activity and maybe something that's a numbing activity? And does it make a difference? And should it be something we even worry about? What do you think? Paul, and then Toby, and then Joanne.
Yeah, I think it's a great topic. So this is my take on it, that there are times when I am using a game to sort of pass the time or zone out from whatever's going on. It can be a way of escaping from something, from a feeling, from anxiety, from whatever it might be, from something I'm supposed to be doing and I'm trying to avoid it. That happens too. But so there's that. But I also find that if I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm ruminating on things, then it is a way for me to put my mind at work doing something that's not whatever the fear-based or anxiety-based thinking is all about. I try meditating, if that doesn't work, this is a way to kind of get my mind someplace else. I can close my eyes and really start quieting my mind down. So I think it's contextual, like a lot of things are. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Let's see. So I can't remember who was first, but we have Toby and then Joanne.
For me, I'm a TV addict. I think there's a 12-step program for that. Maybe, I don't know. There probably should be if there isn't one. And I like murder mysteries. And how it's really a bad, I could lay there for hours watching these idiot things. And how I determine whether it is a good, the Yetzer Hara or the Yetzer Hatov is the duration. For me, it's an hour of TV, that's okay, fine. That's enjoyment, that's relaxation. 5 hours of TV, perhaps not so much. For me, I'm not making a judgment about other people's stuff, but I know for myself, I start feeling guilty and as it gets to hour 3 and hour 4, so just for me.
That is the key phrase for me, because with any of this, there's no judgment involved in this from my end, and I hope not from your ends as well. It's just trying to figure out how does all of this play together. So Joanne.
Well, I feel like when I'm upset or when there's something I'm procrastinating about, or just in general because I like it, I get on and start playing. I have 3 games, 2 of them on my laptop and 1 on my iPad. Plus Wordle. Wordle I don't consider a waste because it's using my brain at least. And also, I don't know why, but I mean, the Wordle I understand. When I get the word, I'm very happy. These other games are like so dumb, and when I succeed, it's like I feel like yay and yay me, and it's really dumb. But I still like doing them. So last week, and I've been trying to do the things that are important. This is like, first things first. When we had that order, I think was the topic. So I've been trying very hard to do first things first and stay away from the computer so much. But it's hard. And so this week, I was upset about something I heard on television, and I I went online to the Anti-Defamation League and said, so-and-so showed this on TV, and I thought it was very vitriolic and untrue and blah, 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 and you should keep an eye on it. And then I felt better and went back to my game. So, I feel like that was more important than playing a stupid game. And it was the thing that was upsetting me that kind of drove me to work. Because I tried to do something online and I couldn't because I'm not a member and this and that, and they make it difficult. And I went to the TV channel, and the previous time I was able to get in. And this time I couldn't get in to make a comment. So anyway, So I kind of use it as maybe a relief from frustration, but also, I feel very guilty doing it because I feel like what a stupid waste of time.
Hmm,
That's it.
thank you, Joanne. Stephanie.
Hi. So I like this topic and especially what you shared, Greg, because I'm still working and I would really like to have more free time, but I don't. And so I try to find things. Usually I'm just kind of wasting what little free time I have, looking on an iPad and just reading different articles and things. But I also have my art practice, so that helps. But I took the summer off. I don't usually take any time off from work because I feel like, what else am I going to do with my time? So I thought, this year is going to be different. This summer, I'm going to really try, finding things to do. And I'm at a big loss. I'm starting to stress out over it. I have been trying to make little side trips, and those are getting to be very expensive and difficult. I'm trying to connect with others that might have same dates available as I have. And I was talking to some woman who she's very spontaneous, and she said, well, you just have to manifest something. And I don't even know what that means or how to do that. And it just leaves me like scratching my head, like, yeah, I thought that's what I was doing, trying to plan, a trip or do this or do that. And so I do teach an art class, and I just so happened on Zoom to be talking with a woman during the class, and she was telling me that she had a little, I guess it would be like a little guest house in Santa Barbara. And I just said, oh, that sounds lovely. And I said, I said, that would be a great place to paint. And she's near the ocean. Well, anyway, long story short, she invited me over the Zoom class to come out and, like, if I wanted to spend the weekend there or, paint with her outdoors near the ocean. And I thought, wow, that's what I had been struggling to try and find. So I'm like kind of excited. Like, it's like, wow, I actually have something planned for the summer, because most of the time things don't work out for whatever reason. So I'm really hoping that this does happen. Anyway, thanks for letting me share that.
Thank you for sharing that, Stephanie. That's so exciting. And yeah, that's kind of manifesting, just something, you put it out there and something shows up. Like I needed to get better at my prayer leading. And one of the people who graduated is starting like a learning minion to like learn to lead and chant like the morning prayers. So I may not want a shul that would require me to do that. I may not want a shul at all, but I certainly don't want to be prevented from getting a job by not being able to do it. And so just here's this class that showed up, so it's, and I'm certainly grateful to that. Bonnie, I saw your hand.
So about 5 months ago, our JCC in Los Gatos decided to offer 3 Hebrew level conversation class. And I haven't had a Hebrew conversation since the 10 years I was head of school, of the day school, yes. But that, since 1994. So I entered into this class. I am the only one in the class who's not married to an Israeli. And I'm the only one in the class that lives alone. So there isn't an opportunity for me to speak with anyone. So one of the people in the class said that she had just finished the Duolingo. I did not know anything about Duolingo. I didn't know how many lessons there were. It's pretty overwhelming. And I now do it every day.
Hmm.
And I'm pleased when I remember stuff. I have flashcards. I feel like I'm back in
Hmm.
college, in high school. Flashcards, I'll tell you, there are certain words, no matter what, I can't remember these words.
Go on, I'm listening.
And it's when I get it, I'm very pleased. I don't know if I'm, thank goodness it's grammar. So the Deek Duke I sort of remember from my classes. So on one hand, I'm enjoying it. On the other hand, I find it stressful because it doesn't come easy for me,
Mhm.
because I have no one to speak with outside of the group.
Mhm.
So, and it's every other Monday. So listening to the Duolingo, I repeat it, but I can't talk to it.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's,
the noise you heard as I was reaching for something and I hit the little gong, and what I was reaching for is I knew I had a stack of some of my stacks of Hebrew flashcards. I have many, many such stacks of which I probably don't know most of the words, but at the time it was helpful. So I'm right there with you.
a very funny story about flashcards. When I was on sabbatical and I was, my 7th year at the day school, I was in Jerusalem. And I'm on the Arbor Aleph bus to go up to Hebrew University. And I'm sitting there with my flashcards. And a woman sitting down near me says, "What are you doing?" And well, yeah, I'm doing flashcards. Turns out that she lived in San Francisco. She knew who I was. I knew who she was. We had never met.
Wow.
It was the beginning of a very lovely friendship. So flashcards can make a difference.
Very cool. So how do we tie this in all into gratitude? And if we remember from last week or from prior study, gratitude is recognizing the good and giving thanks. And so I've heard, a lot of people, well, sometimes I can't sleep, so I do this activity to kind of quiet my mind. But maybe a similar activity, an implication of that is, but maybe a similar activity in the middle of the afternoon would just kind of feel icky afterwards because it wasn't kind of getting me anywhere. And this is sort of speaking for myself a little bit and reading in and how I relate. But there are, I was just thinking about certain TV shows that I like to watch at night, and they're not like, the most sophisticated shows in the world, but I genuinely enjoy them. And and it helps me wind down for bed. But I think if I just like binged an entire weekend of it, I would be just like, okay, life is too hard and I need to just sort of check out. And that's a different thing. Nancy, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so bringing it into gratitude, just a couple little things on, I feel that it can be an enjoyable and a numbing activity at the same time. And
Mhm.
I'm one who is hooked on these games on my phone. So or watching TV or whatever the case may be, it can be very enjoyable to have a numbing activity where it's just so automatic.
Mm.
If it's numbing, I equate that with depression.
Mm.
So if I'm in a depressed kind of state, I don't like that word, but maybe a blue state. And if
Mhm.
I'm not, and I'm doing something, then I'm numb because there's nothing exciting. So I think even being in a numbing state could also be exciting and enjoyable, depending on what it is. And then going with the gratitude, I really try to think of those minuscule moments that we talked about last week. And it really helped because I was on a road trip. I got stuck in back of traffic, car wrecks up the yin yang,
Mm.
various things that could have sent my mind, in a tizzy and me angry at everybody. Other things that happened with my friend that I go and help and all this kind of stuff. And it was one of the best times I've had with her.
Mm.
And it was like noticing every little detail. We had to go to the doctor, we had to call an attorney, we had all these kinds of appointments that could have gone in an ungrateful way, but it was I had the gratitude there to get me through that. its life and enjoy the small steps. And along with that, Greg, I wanted to ask you, what is the Mussar trait for kind of ethics? Is there one?
Well, I mean, Mussar is the modern Hebrew word for ethics, so
Oh.
it's not necessarily what the full, what the more ancient meanings were, but it
Oh.
is because sometimes there are ethics outside of Mussar as well, but there's not like a specific, it's all Mussar is within the realm of what's called virtue ethics. So there's kind of rule-based ethics. This is what's right and wrong. Virtue ethics kind of were classically explained by Aristotle. It's kind of cultivating virtues within ourselves. So we'll do the right thing as a matter of course, which is going to cover things where maybe no one ever thought of a rule for this before, but it's just, someone falls down, you help them up. Is there a rule that you have to help somebody up? Usually not, but it's the right thing to do, and it's a virtue to do it.
Okay, because I really wanted to bring up something, but I don't know if we can do crosstalk or if it's just really listening with an open heart. But I have an issue that I really wanted to kind of get people's opinions, and it's totally an ethics situation. But it seems to go a little bit with gratitude, but maybe this isn't the right place. I don't know.
What if maybe towards the end, if we have time, or if people want to stay a couple minutes after, you could raise your question.
Okay.
How does that
All right.
sound?
Thank you.
Yeah. But I think what the story you told, and part of the reason why I want to not move past it is I thought you said something really special. And what I was hearing was that the gratitude was elevating all of these activities. And what could have been a grind and stressful was elevated by gratitude. And I'm wondering if we could elevate some of these other things. Oh, I was playing these games and it was like, boy, that was sort of a waste of time. Or maybe it's, well, I'm really grateful I had this game to kind of keep me, entertained for a few minutes, and just to sort of mindfully elevate them. So
I think that is definitely, I'm glad you picked up on it. And that just got me thinking that when that is there, that elevation, that then tends to relax me. And so that's what's enjoyable about the numbing, what could be a numbing experience.
Right. Yeah. And what, instead of a self-judgment or why did this happen to my friend, or why did I volunteer to drive all of this time, or why couldn't we do something more fun? All of those questions just go away, or potential questions and issues just go away. Couldn't I have done something better with my time?
When I was up there, Greg, two things happened. I had my card not confiscated, fraud.
Oh.
Okay, so I had to deal with that. I had to put a stop on my card. I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get home? I don't have a credit card to get gas. So I had to find some cash, and then I had to pay cash for gas, which I never had. Right after all that happened, Social Security called me. I thought it was a scam. And you know what? I dealt with those two mishaps, not with gratitude, but wow, okay, this happened. It's inconvenient, but before I think I would have really let it bother me. So I do think that is gratitude.
Yeah, absolutely. Boy, good thing they caught this before somebody ran up a lot of money.
$140 at McDonald's is a lot of money.
It sure is. Ooh.
It was done in Arizona. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you brought us back to gratitude, at first I was thinking, what the hell does this have to do with me trying to deal with my anxiety in the middle of the night with distractions? But the conversation that you were just having with Nancy, just all of a sudden I thought, well, is there a way that I can turn things around while I'm having these experiences, which are all internal to me, all these, fears coming up? Is there a way for me to find a way to be grateful for them? Is there some gratitude I could use to be thankful for the part of me that wants to make sure that everything's going to be okay, even when I have no control over things, just things like that, sort of
Mhm.
almost like soothing a child, which,
Yeah.
oftentimes I think it's really a child inside me that's having such a hard time, but,
Mm.
um, not trying to tell myself, usually what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to, let it go, whatever it is, and just not pay attention to it. But this would be a different way, be a different kind of attention. So I don't know if that hits anybody else or if that strikes anybody else.
Yeah, I don't think about it.
Well, while you're percolating on that, I will comment. I think it's a really powerful idea, and how it will work, I don't know. But it feels like a different approach, and I get the impression that what you've been doing isn't totally satisfactory. And maybe getting out of a more maybe it can be part of more self-compassion, less self-judgment, less worry about the worry. And it's like, yeah, well, thank you for being such a good sentinel. I got it. All right. Thanks for the heads up. And now that I know, maybe we can both go back to sleep. I don't know. So keep us posted. So we have Karen and then Joanne.
Hi, I came late, so I missed the question, but I was thinking about gratitude this week and began to see it as a cushion for my life and a mindset that if I practice gratitude, I'm kind of in that state of mind most of the time. So when things happen that are difficult, I don't necessarily have to try to mitigate them or say, well, it's not a big deal because I have other things to be grateful for since everything has its place. But on the opposite, and this made it clear for me, if I went through life being ungrateful for a lot of things, I would have this mindset where, gee, it's just one more thing that I'm not grateful for, one more thing that happened. And so the mindset is heavy and it makes it more difficult to move through that. So that's where having they call the phrase the attitude of gratitude or gratitude journal helps me because it sets a general tone that is more upbeat, so that when difficult things do happen, I can say, yeah, that's not great, and it's okay, and I can move through it. I don't have to always find the silver lining of what's difficult, but I can be in the mindset most of the time so that when this happens, it's a blip on the screen, a larger blip sometimes.
Thank you, Karen. Yeah, what I'm hearing you say is it kind of keeps some fuel in the tank so that when we hit a blip, we have some internal resources that we're not as depleted maybe when that happens. So we're better able to cope. Joanne and then Bonnie. And then we'll
Yeah,
take a break afterwards.
meant to lower my hand. I don't know, but I didn't. Okay. Oh, no, don't do that.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay. I'm here, right? All
You're
right.
here. We can hear you.
I'm here, you hear me. Okay, so I think one of the ways that my gratitude, or I've increased my gratitude or expressed my gratitude, I told the girlfriend about my good report, and she said, "Oh, let's celebrate." So she wanted to take me out to this wonderful vegan restaurant. And at first I was looking, and then I said, "Yeah, okay, sure, why not?" So we went out, and it was so nice. And I think I've been into a little being more self-care and kinder to myself, and willing to feel good that I can do a couple of things for myself You know, there are like a little splurge here and there, like I had a manicure and pedicure today, it took way too long. But it's still, I felt like, wow, this is really nice, because I can't do this, you know, or I had the cleaning lady in last month. And it's still like, you know, it helps me keep the place in better shape, and that was great. And I will have her back, you know, so I can do a couple of things. And I got my, you know, spending more under control, and I'm grateful for all that. And today I had my first radiation therapy, and that was difficult, really difficult, because you have to hold your breath and to keep, I don't know, they show you a bar, a green bar, and that's where the breast thing is supposed to be. But I found that if I take a deep breath above the bar and then I hold my breath, it still starts to get lower and lower. And then I have to like do that. And so that was kind of an ordeal, but still, you know, I'm grateful that I'm at a different phase in my treatment. And I heard about a wonderful book, so I'm just going to mention it. It's called Radical Remission. I don't know if anybody's heard of it, but it's this woman studied cancer survivors who weren't expected to survive and what kinds of things they all had in common that they did, including meditation and alternative therapies and all kinds of things, but also getting in touch, you know, meditating, going within and seeing what you need to work on. So it's sort of related to Mussar. And I think that Mussar has been very important to me, you know, to challenge myself. Okay, that's enough.
Thank you, Joanne. Well, you're important to all of us, so I'm glad you're here every week. Bonnie.
So Karen said it before I had a chance to raise my hand, which was the attitude of gratitude. And I was listening to Nancy, and I really heard the attitude of gratitude. And it's something that I constantly have to say, all right, this situation is not the way I wanted it to be, but I got through it. It wasn't as bad as I thought. In fact, it was okay. I mean, a lot of travel, a lot of airlines, a lot of, you know, I need to go through the full scanner because I have enough metal in my body to sink a ship. Thank goodness for the scanner. Thank goodness for TSA. And I don't walk past a TSA person or a police or any police people without saying thank you. And somebody said to me many, many years ago, when I was in Manhattan and there was either an ambulance or a fire truck, I don't remember what, but it was very noisy and very loud. And I was with a group of people, and one person said, I wish they weren't so loud. And the other person said, thank God they're there. And it was such a great shift.
Yeah.
And, you know, being in the city for the last 8 days, I heard a lot of ambulance and sounds and fire trucks, and I would stop and say, thank God, thank you, God, for providing these. So the attitude of gratitude to me really is a foundation piece. And I very much appreciate that that's what we're doing. And I'm very glad to be back in on Thursdays with you all.
I'm so glad you're back too. All right, well, let us, good. I wanted to get to the breakout rooms a little bit earlier today, and we have made it. Yay, I'm grateful about that. So this quote from Duties of the Heart by Bachya Ibn Pakuda: the benefactor is in a superior position to that of the beneficiary only by a force of accident. So I think what he's meaning is it's kind of random. I'm the one that, you know, for whatever reason has some more money. I'm giving tzedakah, or I'm giving to someone else. But nonetheless, according to Rabbi Bachya, the beneficiary owes their benefactor a debt of service. So from this, we get the idea, which is don't repay good with bad. And I think that is also in the Talmud. And like there is someone who wrote a really nice blurb for my book. And then they did something which really irritated me and I found kind of hurtful. But I was like, don't repay good with bad. I'm not gonna like mention this to anybody else. I'm not gonna do Lashon Hara. It was helpful to get a little blurb from this person. So, okay. So I want to know what you think. If someone has done something good for us, it's good for us to be grateful. But is there some sort of debt that we're into them? What do we think? Do we agree with this idea? So that's our topic. I will paste it in the chat. And then I'll open the and I will set up the rooms. Okay, so the rooms are open. If you've been streaming, thank you so much for being here. Please stop by the American Mussar YouTube channel where you can see the remainder of our readout when we come back from this. Or stop by AmericanMussar.com, sign up for the email list, and get the Zoom link so you can come join us in person. Thanks so much for being here. Bye-bye. Hey everyone, welcome back. Well, I gave you a good chunk of time because I thought this was pretty juicy, and I even popped in on one group and they were like, we want more time. So great. So tell me, what did we think about this idea of being in debt to someone else when they've done something for us, or other interesting topics that kind of came up in your groups? Joanne.
When we were talking about the idea of, instead of being in debt to the benefactor, just because sometimes they're not even able to reciprocate, like in kind, but pay it forward and do something nice for somebody else. And I think we all agreed on that.
I love that. Yeah. Does everybody know kind of what it means to pay it forward? Is that idea people are familiar with? Yeah, see some nods. Okay, great. Oh.
Yeah, I was in the group with Joanne and Karen, and so that was sentiment that I had definitely as well, and that the one thing I didn't mention is that I was laid off from my job on Friday, and so I guess it's a sign of my progress in life. Is that was not uppermost in my mind when we were talking about. I didn't feel the need to talk about. It didn't even occur to me to talk about gratitude for this, that, and the other around my job. But what has happened is I've had several people come forward and they want to talk to me about possible positions elsewhere, which is phenomenal. It's like the last time I was laid off, that did not happen, and so it's really wonderful to experience that. And one of them wrote just a really wonderful reference for me, and so I can't really. First of all, the person who did that is a friend of mine, and she really values our friendship. That's part of what was in that. I just felt really touched by it. So it feels weird that I would then owe her in some way. It's like that's not how friendships work. We're we're in this together kind of thing. And so it did feel more like if I'm feeling grateful for this beneficence coming my way, then it's more, I think of in terms of I've got God, or my higher power is around me and around the person as well. And that is what is feeding both of us. So I'd rather have that sense of gratitude help me be a better version of me, and to, as Joanne said, and to pay it forward, make sure that I'm able to be beneficent to others, when I
Wow.
can, in ways that I can.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think last week, I don't know if it was last week or a few weeks ago, we talked about kind of this importance of feeling worthy, and feeling like if we're feeling worthy of this thing that people have done for us, it's a totally different kind of dynamic than, oh, why did they do this for me? And how can I ever repay them? And, oh, I will, yeah, this whole thing just reminds me of something. And I see Nancy, I'll get to you in just a sec. When I was in graduate school, I didn't have a lot of money, and there was a Brazilian restaurant that people like to go out to, and it was expensive. And it came out with all this meat on these skewers, and everyone was talking about it, and I couldn't go. And a guy in the lab said, I'm going to treat you. I'm going to, I'll pay for you to go. And then when we got there and I saw how expensive it was, I was like felt so guilty that I said, oh, I'll pay for half of it, and he just got this look on his face. And I think he was so insulted that I did that. And that's because I wasn't feeling like okay with myself, where I could just receive his gift, with an open heart. And so, that was a long time ago, but I think it's really beautiful to hear you being able to just receive this goodness from other people, Paul, in a profound way. So Nancy.
Yeah, at first it was like, what does debt really mean? What are you really owing them? And I think we kind of agreed that we don't owe anything to anybody. We're doing something because we value the relationship or the situation. We want to do it from our heart. But what came across, I think, was that it's not owing them anything, it's acknowledgement. It's acknowledging what they did. It's being aware of what they did. It's saying thank you for what you did. And if you even want to go a little further, which I like to do, is this a debt or is it owing something? I will send a card or I will send flowers. But it goes back to, I'm acknowledging what they did and saying thank you so much for, being a part of my life and doing what you did for me. So that's what we kind of talked about.
Awesome. Thank you, Nancy. Yeah, the full context of what Ibn Bakuta was writing is this was all part of an argument why we were in debt to God. It's like we've been given all this stuff, and therefore, we owe our service to God. And that's not an argument which I am particularly on board with. I think it is a really nice path to walk in the ways of God. I think God is but it is this sort of, and it was written in the 12th century. So it's not that there aren't those attitudes around today, but that was a time when there were kings. And you had your service, you owed your service to this one and that one. And so it's yeah, that's a context which I don't get behind, but I'm sort of maybe in a similar way. I'm happy to kind of be on board with the program of goodness in the universe that I think comes from the divine. But I don't feel like it is required of me, but maybe it's asked of me. Joanne.
Yeah, well, I think it is asked. I mean, well, that's my belief. Right? that I'm every day, that I open my eyes, I'm grateful that I'm still here. And I'm grateful that my internal plumbing is working, and I'm that I'm grateful that I have food to eat, all these things. And I do attribute that to God or higher power, whatever you want to call it, or, cosmic consciousness, whatever. I think that is something I'm very grateful for. That's all.
And I think that will be our last word for today. And I think there is, it's a powerful thought to end on. If we think about being grateful to people who've done things for us, or being grateful for the good in certain situations, and maybe first there's an argument how much more so for the creator, just being alive another day. And we don't necessarily say to our sibling, hey, thanks, I'm here another day. Well, what? Where else would we do that gratitude? Today we're going to end as we began with a meditation, but I'm going to read a poem by Marcia Falk. So please, once again, relax and close your eyes. And again, taking a nice leisurely inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Let these words of Marcia Falk wash over you. Sleep descending on my lids, on my limbs. I call to mind the gifts of this day. A gift of this day, and give thanks. When you're ready, you may open your eyes. Friends, thank you so much for being here. I'm going